Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the latest edition of Meerkat Musings, the YouTube channel, whereupon I come at you with reflections, shall we say, upon the end of a particularly turbulent time at work, and with a bit of luck, the drawing of a line underneath a particularly stressful saga. I also reminisce over a recent weekend break that I've had, and I ponder some of the more unusual elements of my life and world, which includes snorting coffee out of my nose in spectacular fashion the other day. But we will return to the beginning. We will return to work without being able to go into too much detail still, because quite frankly I don't want to. It's not really my place to. I've alluded to this before, but basically there's been some stressful situations relating to, among other things, sales targets and how other people have interpreted those targets, and how other people have or have not approached getting sales in a sales environment. And there have been consequences for everyone because of this. That person, I do feel for them, because I think they're grappling with a lot. But they were, in many regards, creating extra work for other people. They have now decided to leave, and this means a clean break for them as well as for the store. It means in the short term that we're definitely operating with less people than we would like. We need to look at recruiting, but we now can look at recruiting. So I'm sure that's something which will be looked at in due course by HR, and we can start to get that ball rolling forward and hopefully get someone in sooner rather than later. Because one of the elements behind all of this has been lone trading days, and it feels like in the last couple of weeks in particular that I've done quite a few lone trading days. Now, this is no one's fault per se. It's not just down to being down a member of staff. It's also down to people's holidays and also staff sickness, and that inevitably leads to the odd occasion where you work on your own, which is not automatically a problem, except one thing which happens whenever I seem to lone trade. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is, it doesn't matter what the circumstances. I promise you that the exact moment that I decide I want to grab something to eat, someone will come into the store, or the phone will ring, or something will happen which interferes with my lunch. This happens all the time. It happened the other day when I literally went to take a bite out of something, and I unwrapped it, went to take a bite, and instantly someone came in. And it's like the universe knows. I swear the universe has this deep understanding that when I'm on my own, I want to get something to eat, absolutely quiet until that point. That's when suddenly everything happens. And at times, I really do rather resent the universe for the way in which it torments me like that. Not a lot I can do about it, of course. You have to plaster a smile onto your face, greet the customers, treat them as you should. But, underneath, I'm quietly thinking, please go away, please go away, please go away. When I'm hungry, and I want to eat. And I don't like having my lunches interrupted or disturbed. To be honest, to a certain degree, it applies to everyone. It applies to my colleagues. It applies to my family. If I'm having something to eat, I want to just be able to concentrate on enjoying my meal. I don't want to be interrupted. I hate having to sort of pause having my lunch or my dinner or whatever, because other people keep diverting me for whatever given reason. There are times when I feel a bit like a human yo-yo. I'll sit down and suddenly someone will pipe up with, can you do this? I'm up again. Sit down, and then suddenly, can you do this? It's just like, just at times I just want 5 minutes of not having to do anything. But the universe doesn't always work that way. And sometimes, I swear, it conspires pretty hard to deprive me of my unwind time. Yes, you could argue there are plenty of like sort of quiet periods at work and quiet spells and that kind of thing. And there absolutely are. But nonetheless, I'm still going to work every single day. I'm still getting up early in the morning, and I'm still at work for a very long time. And there are still spells where it's, really quite busy. And there are times when it gets quite stressful. So whenever that downtime is, be it when I get home from work, be it lunch break, whatever it is, I need that time. Everyone needs that time. I'm not a robot. I'm not a machine. I am subject to human emotions and feelings. And it would be nice if that could be understood a little bit more. But of course, you can't expect customers to understand that, because all they see is a person in a shop that is there to help them. And it's very, very rare that you see the shop worker in a store as a human being. I try to because I know what it's like to be on the other side of things like that. Does it always work out for me that way? I'd like to think so. I'd like to think I'm quite nice and courteous to members of staff and other retail establishments, but a lot of people don't understand what it's like. I've said this before. I think people should have to do like a mandatory two-year, shall we say, duty or tour of retail. If you get national service in the military, make them do national service in retail, and all of a sudden, a lot of people would treat retail workers very differently. They would have a much better understanding. No, we do not control stock levels at store level. We can't go into the back and magic up the products that they want. We sell the products. Doesn't mean we're technical experts in everything. That's why we have a technical department. So we'll have to sometimes refer to them for one reason or another. And more people, I think, genuinely, desperately need to understand this. But whether that ever happens or not, I have no idea. But enough of the moan, as it were. I made reference to a weekend break. This was in honour of my mother's birthday. We went to a Airbnb in Norfolk, in the middle of the country. I've not done an Airbnb before. I guess it's kind of akin to renting out a holiday home. I don't really understand it, but basically, we booked this home for the weekend, and it was home away from home for the weekend, just to kind of, we did not really do too much, although we did a little bit here and there, where we went into a couple of local towns and just tried to do something a little bit different. It was somewhat challenging to get to. We travelled up on the Thursday. Originally, we were planning to get the train on the Friday, but rail replacement buses meant that would have been an horrific journey. So we got the train up on the Thursday. Long old journey, about 3 hours or so. But at least you're, for the most part, on a train, not having to kind of, do too much, as it were, and it all went reasonably smoothly. It's always, ideally nice to be slightly more direct. It was still, my dad came and collected us from the station. It was still another hour from the station to the venue, as it were. So it goes to show how remote this place is and how limited the service is. But overall, it was a reasonable weekend. But it was nice to get home, as it always tends to be. It's nice to have your own bed. I tend to find I sleep better in my own bed. One of the oddities that was produced by this weekend was a very particular and very peculiar and very creepy dream involving some kind of ghostly or demonic entity that was threatening a baby, a child. And I just remember the element of the dream that I remember was angrily screaming at this entity down a walkie-talkie for some reason, and threatening to do this entity harm if it harmed this baby. I don't know what harm I could possibly do with a demonic entity, but I just remember not feeling scared. I remember feeling angry more than anything else, and that was kind of more or less where that dream went. As I say, a little bit bizarre, a little bit unusual. I think it was inspired by three factors. That day, I'd seen the new Ghostbusters film, and we had also had an interesting experience where some of the lights and things kept flickering. Some of the devices would switch themselves on during the night rather randomly at this place, which is more likely to do with power surges than anything else. But that happened a couple of times. And I'd also read a story about a ghost as well whilst there. So I think those three elements conspired to produce this strange dream, as it were. Also heard an owl during the night, which at one point wouldn't shut up. But I've never actually heard an owl in person before, at least I have no memory of that until now. So a little bit different in that sense. Quite a lot of wildlife, as you can imagine, in the country. Saw quite a few ducks, some other birds I couldn't identify, some pheasants as well. Pheasants, has to be said, are quite stupid. One flew out in front of my dad's car and was very, very close to being splattered because they don't seem to have great self-preservation instincts. I mean, they just randomly fly out in front of people's vehicles and predictably get hit. And you have to think, you know what, how are they still around as a species? What are they like with predators if they're that dopey around cars? Okay, I'll grant cars are not natural hunters of these things. But nonetheless, an unusual set of circumstances there. And I can't say that I'm too in favour of pheasants wandering around, but they're wild animals. What else are they going to do? But as I say, it was nice to get home and nice to get back into the routine, as it were, as such, of work. Although I got in for a day and then immediately had 2 days off, so it's slightly daft, isn't it, in that respect? But that's just how the rotas sort of fell. Going forward, I think the rotas are going to see some additional chaos in the short term until we can get someone else in. But we'll see how that goes. I don't know what's going to happen exactly as yet with that. I do know that when you drink coffee, what you should not do is then set off some sort of giggling / coughing fit within yourself, because that's what happened last week when I snorted coffee out of my nose. An interesting and somewhat wet experience, to put it mildly, but I could have seriously done without. But hey-ho, there you go. So what else is there? Well, I am entering into what I regard to be the final act of the first draft of the sequel to The Awakening. I have got a few elements to the story that when I go back and start making edits, I am going to want to tweak, because there's a few elements I'm not particularly happy with. There's a few chapters that I need to kind of, I think, probably expand upon, clarify and tighten up. But broadly speaking, I'm pleased with the direction of it all. I'm pleased with how we're going to, shall we say, end part 2 of this saga, and how it's going to hopefully tee up part 3, because I am planning to turn this into a trilogy. So, nice progress there. I have enjoyed a reasonable early performance with my new book, Fontana and Istalor. I sold quite a few copies in March, albeit in fairness, these copies were available for free. But I have had an early April sale as well, and hopefully that is, of course, the first of many April sales. Difficult to say, of course, but all I can do is keep plugging that and promoting that, and of course promoting The Awakening as well, and just, keep pushing, keep going, and hopefully getting all of these well on their way to some measure of success. That is, of course, the aim of the game. and all I can do is to keep trying, really. So that's where I'm at the moment. It's now into this new and slightly unusual period at work, and we'll just have to wait and see where things develop from here. Hopefully they'll develop in a straightforward enough fashion. All I can do is watch this space, and hopefully you'll watch this space with me. Thanks for watching. Take care.